Hello, D-E-S-A-N-G-N-T man. Let me ask you something real, something that cuts straight through all the noise. How many times have you said, I want my life to be different, but weeks, months, even years later, nothing actually changed? Not because you're lazy, not because you're not capable, but because wanting is not the same thing as deciding. Wanting keeps the door open for excuses. Decision slams the door shut. Most people think a decision is saying, I'll try or I'll do my best. That's not a decision. That's negotiation with your comfort zone. A real decision is when there is no plan B. It's the moment you say, this is who I am now, and your nervous system shifts. Something powerful happens in your brain when you decide. Your mind stops asking, can I? And starts asking, how do I? And that one shift changes everything. Here's what most people don't understand. Clarity creates power. When you're unclear, you hesitate. When you hesitate, you lose momentum. But the moment you get crystal clear about what you want and why you want it, your energy rises. You walk differently. You speak differently. You show up differently. Confusion drains energy. Decision fuels it. Think about the moments in your life when you changed instantly, not slowly. Instantly. You didn't read a book for 6 months. You didn't wait for motivation. Something happened, and you decided enough. That decision created more change in a moment than years of thinking ever did. Pain can create decision, but so can vision. You don't have to wait until your back is against the wall. You can decide from a place of purpose. The real question is not, what do I want? The real question is, what am I committed to? Because commitment means you'll do it even when you're tired, even when you're scared, even when no one is watching. Commitment means you stop negotiating with the old version of yourself. You draw a line and say, I don't live there anymore. And let me be clear, decision is not about perfection. It's about direction. You don't need to know every step. You just need to know the next one. When you decide, life responds, resources appear, people show up, ideas start flowing. But none of that happens until the decision is made. Most people are waiting for confidence before they decide. That's backward. Confidence comes after the decision, not before it. Decision creates movement, movement creates results, and results create belief. You don't build belief by thinking. You build belief by doing. So if you've been stuck, it's not because you lack ability, it's because you've been undecided. You've been leaving the door open to go back to who you used to be. Close the door. Decide who you are now. Decide what you stand for. Decide what you will no longer accept in your life. Because the moment you decide, your identity begins to shift. And when identity changes, behavior follows. And when behavior changes, your life has no choice but to change with it. Make the decision right now. Now let's take that decision you've just made and aim it in the right direction. Because a decision without focus is like power without a target. Let me ask you something. What do you think about most of the day? Because whatever you consistently think about, you begin to feel. And whatever you feel, you begin to act on. That's not philosophy. That's how your nervous system is wired. Most people don't realize this, but your brain is always answering questions. The problem is you're often asking questions on autopilot. Why is this so hard? Why does this always happen to me? What if I fail? And your brain, being incredibly obedient, goes to work and finds evidence to support those questions. Suddenly you feel frustrated, overwhelmed, powerless. Not because of what happened, but because of what you focused on. Here's the truth. You can't control every event in your life, but you can control what you focus on, and that changes your experience instantly. Focus is the remote control to your emotional state. Change the channel, and the feeling changes. When you focus on problems, you feel weak. When you focus on solutions, you feel strong. When you focus on what you lack, you feel empty. When you focus on what you have and what you can create, you feel empowered. High performers train their focus deliberately. They don't wait for the world to make them feel good. They decide what deserves their attention. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? They ask, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of asking, what if this doesn't work? They ask, how can I make this work? Those questions shift the chemistry of your body in seconds. Your focus shapes your identity. Whatever you consistently focus on becomes your reality, not because it's the only reality, but because it's the one you experience. Two people can be in the same situation. One feels trapped, the other feels challenged. The difference is not the circumstance, it's the focus. One is focused on the obstacle, the other is focused on the opportunity to grow. And here's what's powerful: focus is a skill, not a personality trait. You can train it. You train it by interrupting old patterns and consciously choosing better questions. When something goes wrong, catch yourself, pause, and ask, what can I control right now? Or what's one step I can take forward? Instantly, your brain shifts from fear to action. Your emotions are feedback systems. They're not telling you the truth about life. They're telling you what you're focusing on. Anxiety means your focus is on uncertainty. Gratitude means your focus is on abundance. Confidence means your focus is on capability. Change the focus, and the emotion must follow. This is why people stay stuck even after they decide to change. They decide, but they keep focusing on the past. They keep replaying old stories, old failures, old labels. Where focus goes, energy flows. If you want a new life, you need a new focus, not tomorrow, not next week, now. So let me challenge you, what are you focusing on right now? Is it empowering you or draining you? Is it moving you forward or keeping you trapped? Because the moment you redirect your focus, you redirect your future. Change your focus, and everything else begins to change. Now let's go deeper, because even after you decide and even after you change your focus, there's another force shaping your life every single day, and that force is meaning. What something means to you determines how you feel about it, and how you feel determines what you do next. Life is not happening to you. It's happening through the meaning you assign to it. Think about this for a moment. Two people can experience the exact same event, loss, failure, rejection, and one of them collapses while the other rises. Same event, completely different outcome. Why? Because the meaning they gave it was different. One said, "This proves I'm not enough." The other said, "This is shaping me into something stronger." Meaning is the filter through which you experience reality. Most people don't choose their meanings consciously. They inherit them from the past, from other people's opinions, from painful moments they never questioned. Something went wrong once and they decided, I'm bad at this, or I don't deserve more, or this always happens to me. And then they carry that meaning for years, letting it shape every decision they make. Not because it's true, but because it feels familiar. Here's the truth that sets you free. Nothing has meaning except the meaning you give it. Failure is not failure, it's feedback. Pain is not punishment, it's information. Fear is not a stop sign, it's a signal that you're stretching beyond the familiar. The moment you change the meaning, you change the emotional experience, and when the emotion changes, your behavior must change with it. This is how people turn breakdowns into breakthroughs. They don't deny the pain. They don't pretend everything is fine. They ask a different question. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? They ask, how can this serve me? Instead of saying, this ruined me, they say, this refined me. Those questions don't erase the challenge, but they give you power over it. Your past does not define you. The meaning you assign to your past does. And the beautiful part is you can change that meaning at any moment. You can look at something that once broke you and decide, this made me stronger. You can take a moment that once felt like rejection and decide, this redirected me. When you do that, the emotional charge dissolves and you reclaim your energy. High achievers are not people with easier lives. They are people who give empowering meaning to difficult experiences. They train themselves to find growth in pain, opportunity in chaos, and purpose in struggle. That's not optimism, it's strategy. Because when you give pain a purpose, it no longer controls you. Ask yourself, what meaning have you been giving your challenges? Have you been using them as excuses, or have you been using them as fuel? Because the same event can either weaken you or strengthen you. It all depends on the story you tell yourself about it. Meaning shapes identity. If you believe setbacks mean you're incapable, you'll act small. If you believe setbacks mean you're learning, you'll act bold. Your life follows the meaning you choose, not slowly, instantly. So choose meaning that empowers you. Choose meaning that moves you forward. Choose meaning that turns your scars into strength. Change the meaning, and you change who you become. Now, here's where everything becomes real in the moment, because even if you decide, even if you focus powerfully, even if you give empowering meaning, none of it lasts if you don't control your state. Your state is how you feel in your body right now. And most people think emotions just happen to them. They don't. Emotions are created by your physiology and your focus working together. Let me prove it to you. Think about a time when you felt confident, strong, unstoppable. Notice your posture in that moment, your breathe energy. Now think about a time when you felt defeated or insecure. Your body wasn't the same, was it? Your shoulders dropped. Your breathing got shallow. Your movement slowed down. The body changed first, or at least at the same time. This is not coincidence. Your body is not just responding to your emotions, it's creating them. You don't get confident and then stand tall. You stand tall and confidence follows. You don't feel energized and then move. You move and energy shows up. Your nervous system is always taking instructions from your body. The way you sit, the way you breathe, the way you move, these are signals you are constantly sending to your brain about who you are and how powerful you feel. Most people wait for motivation to change their state. That's a mistake. Motivation is unreliable. Physiology is immediate. If you want to change how you feel instantly, change how you use your body. Breathe deeper. Move with purpose. Lift your chest, make eye contact. Increase your intensity. These are not small things, they are switches. Peak performers don't hope for a good state, they create it. Before a big moment, they don't shrink, they expand. Before a challenge, they don't collapse. They energize. They understand that emotions are tools, and the body is the fastest way to access them. Think about stress for a moment. Stress is not caused by events. Stress is caused by the way you breathe, the way you tense your body, the way you collapse inward. Change your breathing, and stress begins to dissolve. Change your posture, and courage shows up. The body leads, the mind follows. And here's what's powerful. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real experience and one you create with intention. If you move like a leader, your brain releases chemicals that support confidence. If you move like a victim, your brain releases chemicals that support fear. You are training your nervous system every single day, whether you realize it or not. This is why people know what to do but don't do it. They're trying to change behavior without changing state. But when your state changes, behavior becomes natural. When you feel strong, you act strong. When you feel certain, you take action. State is the foundation. So if you ever feel stuck, overwhelmed, or discouraged, don't ask, what's wrong with me? Ask, how am I using my body right now? Because you can change that in seconds. Stand up, breathe deep, move with intensity. Take ownership of your physical presence. You don't need more time. You don't need more information. You need to take control of your state. Change your body and your power comes back instantly. Now comes the moment where everything you've done so far either turns into a real transformation or stays as a good idea. Because deciding, focusing, changing meaning, and controlling your state are powerful, but they don't change your life unless you act. Action is the bridge between intention and results. And here's the truth most people need to hear. You don't need perfect action. You need action, period. Most people wait. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel confident. They wait until fear disappears. And while they wait, life passes them by. Confidence is not the prerequisite for action. Action is the prerequisite for confidence. You don't believe your way into doing. You do your way into believing. Think about it. Every skill you have today was once uncomfortable. You were awkward before you were capable. You were uncertain before you were skilled. But you didn't become better by thinking about it. You became better by doing it badly at first. Progress creates certainty, not the other way around. This is why massive, imperfect action is so powerful. It breaks the pattern of hesitation. It tells your brain, I'm in motion now. And once you're in motion, momentum takes over. Motion creates emotion. Action creates clarity. When you act, even imperfectly, feedback shows up. And feedback is the fastest teacher on earth. Fear thrives on stillness. The longer you wait, the bigger it gets. But the moment you move, fear begins to shrink. Not because it disappears, but because it loses control. Action shifts your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who thinks, and you start seeing yourself as someone who does. Most people overestimate how much they need to do and underestimate how powerful small actions are. One phone call, one decision, one uncomfortable conversation, one step forward. Done consistently, those actions compound into extraordinary results. It's not about intensity once, it's about consistency over time. And here's the key. Action rewires your brain. Every time you do what you said you would do, you build trust with yourself. Every time you follow through, your identity strengthens. You stop doubting who you are because your actions prove it. That's real confidence. You don't need to know the entire path. You just need to take the next step. Clarity comes from engagement, not contemplation. Life rewards those who move, not those who wait for certainty. So if you've been stuck, ask yourself this: what is one action I can take right now that moves me closer to the life I want? Not tomorrow, not when it's comfortable. Now, take the step, make the call. Start the work, speak up, move. Because the moment you act, everything changes. Take action and momentum will carry you forward. Now we arrive at the foundation that holds everything together, because even with decisions, focus, meaning state, and action, your life will always fall back to one thing: your standards. Not your goals, not your dreams, your standards. A goal is something you aim for. A standard is something you live by. And whatever you tolerate in your life, you teach people and yourself how to treat you. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they accept less than what they're capable of. They lower their expectations, make excuses, and call it being realistic. But realism without vision is just limitation in disguise. When you raise your standards, your behavior rises to meet them. When you keep standards low, no amount of motivation will save you. Think about areas of your life where you've made real, lasting change. It wasn't because you wanted more. It was because you decided this is no longer acceptable. You didn't negotiate. You didn't justify. You drew a line. And the moment you did, your actions changed naturally. That's the power of perf standards. Standards are about identity. When you say, this is who I am, your brain looks for ways to align your behavior. When you say, I don't miss my commitments, you show up. When you say, I take care of my body, your habits follow. When you say, I speak with integrity, your words change. Standards create consistency, and consistency creates results. Most people have rules that support their excuses. They say, I'll try if I feel like it, or I'll do it when it's convenient. Those are low standards disguised as flexibility. High standards sound different. They sound like, I do what I said I would do, even when it's uncomfortable. And that one shift separates average lives from extraordinary ones. Your standards shape your relationships, your health, your finances, and your self-respect. If you tolerate disrespect, you receive more of it. If you tolerate procrastination, progress slows down. If you tolerate self-doubt, confidence never has a chance to grow. What you allow becomes your life. Here's the most important part: standards are not set once. They're reinforced daily through action. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your standards strengthen. Every time you break one, they weaken. This is why discipline is not punishment, it's self-respect. It's you honoring the life you say you want. Raising your standards doesn't mean demanding more from the world. It means demanding more from yourself. It means deciding what you will no longer accept. No more excuses, no more settling, no more waiting for permission. When your standards rise, your problems shrink because you stop tolerating them. And here's the truth: your life will never rise consistently above the standards you set. If you want a new level of success, happiness, or fulfillment, you need a new level of standards to match it, not someday. Now, decide what you stand for. Decide what you will no longer tolerate. Decide who you are becoming. Raise your standards, and your life will rise to meet them.